A very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch powered by HSBC. I'm Priya Sheth, and joining me on this very exclusive chat is Vamsi Krishna from Vedantu. Thank you very much, Vamsi, for joining us today. I want to begin by talking to you a little bit about how the last couple of months have been. They've been critical for you. You've turned unicorn. Lots of activities around Vedantu happening. So tell us a little bit about how the momentum looks like as we just entered 2022.
Thanks, Priya. Thanks for having me over, and lovely to be here. Yes, like you rightly said, the last almost 2.5 years have been quite happening, to say the least, given the COVID and also a very significant awareness bump of this whole online education and live tutoring in specific. That really helped us. We've been obviously the category creators of the live online classes, and this category at least has seen a significant bump in terms of the awareness, especially in K-12. So in terms of numbers, I think even probably the last time we were discussing about this, as Vedantu itself, we saw almost like a 14x kind of like a increase in all major numbers in the last 2 years, right? So yeah, it's been a hyper growth state. And we have now just gone a little used to it, and now things are a little bit settling down, so taking up some breather now. But last 2 years have been really good for the ecosystem in general and Vedantu also.
Right, I want to talk about the ecosystem because when we just heard the union budget and some very interesting initiatives and incentives for the education sector at large. So tell us a little bit about how this affects Vedantu. What do you think would be the implications of this, and how you'd use this to sort of take that next leap of growth?
See, I think especially not just this one, right? Even the last one and probably the one before that, there has been a focus. No, I'm not just talking about education to begin with. I'm just talking about startups, right? In general, and there has been an acknowledgement of the same, right? An acknowledgement of the fact that there are a lot of problems which India as a country we face, and government with all its great right intentions cannot single-handedly solve all of them, right? Even in the past, we have seen government in general, not just in India but other places also, relying on private players to solve for a lot of problems, and that is very true for education as well, Priya. Because if you see in education, like specifically, there's a huge problem between the demand and supply, right? There's so many students, right? And especially in tier 3, tier 4 places, if you go, you just can't solve those problems just by offline methods, right? Because India is a very big country. So online is obviously the way to go. Even in online, government is trying its bit, and there are a lot of initiatives which the Indian government has taken over the last 2 years, right? Diksha is one, right? A lot of initiatives, but even that one sort of like an entity can't solve it, and that is where we see government, and we also work with a lot of those initiatives of the government taking very active participatory interest in opening their stuff up, allowing the private companies to come in and even contribute, right? And it's been really good. I would really commend the government on this, that they're not just budget, right? In general, right? Their approach has been very inclusive. There are a lot of initiatives where they take our thoughts and also been open for partnerships and stuff like that. Now, coming down to the budget, the question you asked, right? It's obviously been called out. One of the things which I really loved about is the initiative that one class, one TV, channel thing, right? And the eVidya scheme. All these things are a welcome move. I'm very sure will drive impact at scale and bridge both the accessibility and as well as the language barrier which we see in education today.
Right, Vamsi, I want to talk a little bit about what your key pillars of growth will be in 2022, because I believe there is aggressive growth that's been planned at Vedantu as well. So tell us a little bit about what you would be focusing on this year.
So great question, Priya. So I think as Vedantu, one of the key things we've been always following and harping about is our focus, because in education is such a big space, it's very easy to get distracted. So one of the things which we are very sure and very clear about is we want to focus on K-12, right? It's a very large market, still very largely underpenetrated by all online education players still, and that is an area where we continue to focus on and we see ourselves growing. So there are a few areas, especially given the new academic year is approaching. So there are few areas which we are looking at. One, and the biggest one is we want to continue to innovate to bring the price point down. So next year, and I don't want to spill a lot of beans on that yet, but you will see Vedantu coming out with disruptive courses at disruptive price points, right? Courses at disruptive price points. And I do believe that is extremely critical, right? Especially for a country like India, and wherein our vision is always to create that impact at scale and enable quality, services to reach masses. So that is one, and a big one actually for us. I'm sure we'll get to talk about that in more detail in in the next few months. The other one is we are looking at bridging more category spaces. So today, even although we cover all the way from 3-year-olds to 18-year-olds, there are a lot of subcategories which still we don't service, right? For example, grade 1 to 3 we don't service. There are a lot of languages we don't service yet. Yeah. And few exams. So that is also another area where you will see Vedantu working a lot. We did start Maharashtra board to begin with last year, but I think that's an area where you'll see us, languages, vernacular, more subcategories, and the third one is international, right? Although we are already in international, so we did launch in Middle East last year and stuff, but I think still that that's still at one geography. This year you will see Vedantu expanding into more geographies. So those are the top, probably the three areas of growth for us.
Right, Vamsi, run us through some metrics that you're chasing. What can we expect going forward?
I think for us, the biggest metric we chase is the number of students we are able to service, both free as well as paid, right? Because for us, paid is a consequence, right? Once you are able to touch users, then some of it you will be able to convert into the monetary paid users. So in terms of the free users, today we touch roughly, Priya, around 36 odd million unique students who come to our web and app per month, right? These are all monthly numbers I'm talking about. We definitely see this number crossing 50 million in the new coming year, and it's a very ambitious number. It's a pretty big one actually, but yeah, we do have aspirations around that. And in terms of our paid users, this year we'll be closing somewhere around a 200 to a quarter million kind of a number. I do see that number crossing 1 million unique paid users for this next academic year. So yeah, those are probably in terms of numbers, at least our aspirations. So yeah, excited.
Right, we'll be tracking you on those numbers. But Vamsi, tell us a little bit about any further fundraise. I know you raised 100 million, last year, but tell us what's on the anvil. Are you talking to investors?
Sure, Priya. I think that just happened recently. So, but I just love those questions coming. It almost seems like it should just continuously be on the funding mode. But no, honestly, even the last one, it was more of because the one previous to that was also 100 million, less than a year old. So short answer is we are quite surplus in terms of capital right now. Yeah. We do have our IPO aspirations very clearly, right? And we'll definitely talk more about it in detail in coming few months. And our current aspirations, more than fundraise, which honestly speaking has always been a consequence, right? I don't, at least personally, I don't believe that when you are in fundraise, I think you should always create a company which is sound and solid. And when that happens, you always have opportunities of good partners coming in and offering you partnership. And when you you find the terms good, partner good, you should just go it. That has always been the philosophy. So even right now, I think making the company more solid and IPO ready is been one of our core goals. And we will be chasing that for this next academic year. We definitely look at a time frame of around 18 months or so, 20 months for that thing. And that's really my goal. As we go in that journey, if there are some opportunities which comes in for private placements, right, we'll definitely explore that.
Right. So 12 to 18 months is a time frame for the IPO. We'll be looking out for that. On that note, thanks so much, Vamsi, for joining us today. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for your time.